I want to talk just very briefly about crisis and trauma counseling because it's such a big concept that we don't really have the space to talk about it within this class. And in fact, we do offer a class on its own in crisis and trauma counseling. Crises can be very different. We could be talking about a relationship breakup. We could be talking about something like a death of a parent. We could be talking about a hurricane or a tornado, right? These are vastly different experiences that can all result in a person responding in crisis. When we're talking about the more kind of natural disaster or large scale traumatic experiences, crisis counseling looks a little different than working with somebody who has gone through a breakup, which is also a crisis in and of itself. When we're working with a person who has recently gone through a large scale traumatic experience, a counselor may be just spending very, very little time with each person very briefly. So you may see a person once for 20 minutes and then never see them again. And so the goal is to be as calm and helpful as possible. So the idea is to focus on the immediate. There's no need to talk about, a person's past or something like that. Let's focus on the immediate, what the person's needs are, help them make a plan, develop a plan moving forward. This is where problem solving is much more okay. Remember, I've been saying no problem solving all semester. In crisis and trauma, when you're meeting with a client very, very briefly, what they need is problem solving. If you have it, access to resources. When you leave this room, there will be I'm going to hand you a pamphlet. That is going to be the number to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is going to call you, or you're going to call the Red Cross and you're going to get a place to stay. Something like that. So that kind of very immediate, let's figure out how to make a solution for what we're working with or what we're working from is kind of a big piece in crisis and trauma. You may meet this person once and never again. Very, very brief sessions that happen potentially only once, likely only once. To become a crisis counselor, you have to go through specific training. Counselors are often deployed to areas where traumatic events have happened, and so being deployed to these places and meeting with people and being there for them in that way is part of crisis response. That training can be done by the Red Cross, it can be done at counseling conferences, but you need to make sure you get good training. The other thing to remember if you are doing crisis counseling is that this can be very difficult on the counselor too. So you're meeting with people very briefly, they're in crisis, they're going through something very, very difficult, and so making sure that you're also taking care of yourself, taking small breaks, getting a good night's sleep. Self-care is very important when you're doing crisis counseling. Remember, crisis counseling is much bigger than this, 2-minute video. And so it's important to note that, you can take a class in it, you can get trained as a crisis counselor once you are a certified counselor. But for now, just kind of a little brief piece of insight into crisis counseling. Have a great week. Thanks.